I mean, you don't have to look very hard to see that employment is outdated. Corporations are struggling right now to keep up with the ever-evolving needs of employees, and it's creating this disengagement epidemic. If you look at the stats, Gallup just published their latest global workforce trends, and it shows that only 15% of employees in the global workforce are engaged. That means that a staggering 85% of employees are either not engaged or actively disengaged. And the big problem with that is that it's extremely expensive. It's estimated that a disengaged employee in the workplace costs about 34% of their annual salary. If they leave their job, that costs the company 50 to 60% of their annual salary, which if you do the math, and Gallup has done this for us, that costs $7.8 trillion in lost productivity globally. That's a huge waste of money because employees are not happy. And what we're seeing is two camps. The first camp is, well, I'm the boss and the economy isn't great, so RTO, everyone has to come back to the office. Or you have to do it my way because that's just how it is. Employees are kind of scaling back. They don't have as many options, seemingly don't have as many options, and so they stay at work and they stay disengaged. Why do you think quiet quitting is such a poignant term right now? It's because employees have nowhere to go, so they just sit down and they disengage, and that's extremely expensive. So the popular solution right now with a lot of forward-thinking HR departments is employee experience design, or let's find out what our employees are feeling, what they need, and try and give it to them. I know this sounds very simple, but it's fairly revolutionary for some organizations that are still kind of stuck in what Deborah mentioned is the Industrial Revolution, this kind of Taylorism, task-based, contractual version of work. And so employee experience design comes in where we're journey mapping, or we are building personas so that we can better understand our employees. There are plenty of employee engagement platforms out there that will do surveys and they will listen to employees, and then you can implement that feedback so it creates this continuous feedback loop. There's a lot of really cool and amazing HR tech out there, and actually we're evolving the term right now to work tech. It's not just HR department who's in charge of compliance. Their job now is how do we design experiences for employees that matter, that they want to be there, and that's employee experience design. However, the premise of our book is that employee experience design will fail for two reasons. The first is even if we do employee experience design perfectly at the organization, there are still pains that employees will feel because of the structure of work. Sure, you've done all the right things to make your employees happy, but they still have to have a boss. They don't really like that. They still have a 9-to-5 job. They might have to come into the office when they want a more customized version of work, or this hierarchy of a central group of decision makers who tell me exactly what I need to do. I just need to go implement it, which means innovation and creativity is swept aside. The second reason why it's not going to work is because there are emerging technologies right now, which you have seen at this conference, whether it's the metaverse, VR, XR, Web3, decentralized work. There are technologies that are emerging faster than corporations can adjust. And because of that, we will see a major shift in the power dynamics of I'm the employer, I have the power, contractually you're obligated to do exactly what I say, to I'm the employee and I just have to do what you say and don't ask questions or else someone else will take my job. There will be a moment where employees prefer these new technologies that will allow them to work how and when and where they want for about the same amount of benefit that they're having at employment. There's going to be a moment where traditional employment no longer makes sense. And it already doesn't make sense, and companies are adjusting. If you look at the stats on major organizations like Walmart and Siemens, and even like retailers, frontline employees at McDonald's, you'll see that their workforce is no longer a majority full-time employees. They leverage maybe part-time employees because it makes more sense. They leverage freelancers and contractors. They will bring in third-party advisory services, and all of this makes up not employment, but a workforce ecosystem that is very different. So immediately, employee experience, the term is outdated itself because it's workforce experience. It's about how are our people experiencing work.